At 180 miles an hour, this is not a racetrack. It's a normal street with walls, houses, and trees just beside the road. At the Isle of Man TT, riders fly past homes inches away. If everyone here knows the risk, why do they still line up? And at this point, calling it a race feels wrong. Bray Hill, the race doesn't ease you. In the TT didn't start as a safe or planned race. It was built on rough roads, simple bikes, and pure courage. And that mindset never changed. So if the race began in such a raw and risky way, why did it never soften, even after 100 years? The Isle of Man TT started way back in 1907, when bikes were slow by today's standards and roads were mostly gravel and dust. Riders showed up in wool sweaters, leather caps, and goggles. No real helmets or proper safety gear. Looking back now, it's hard to believe anyone even tried. The course ran straight through the countryside and tiny villages. People would step out of their houses and watch bikes fly past their front doors. There were no big crowds or grandstands, just a few riders chasing speed because they loved it. That was it. Now, more than 100 years later, the TT looks very different. The bikes are much faster, the gear is better, and the crowds are huge. But the roads, those are still the same. Narrow, bumpy, and nightmares for some. The same corners that scared riders in 1907 are still doing the same thing today. After riding something like this, walking away would make sense. But they don't. And that's where the real story starts. The absolute test of control. The Isle of Man TT isn't built for a normal race. It's long, narrow, and unforgiving. And from the moment it starts, it asks more from a rider than almost any other event on Earth. So what makes this course so brutal that even the best riders in the world treat it with fear? The course stretches nearly 38 miles with more than 200 corners and speeds that push past 186 miles an hour. There's no room to relax and no section that feels safe. One moment you're flat out, the next you're braking hard for a corner that comes out of nowhere. There's no runoff here and no backup plan. Just stone walls, curbs, trees, and open drops sitting right in front of you from the racing line. You're tucked in behind the windscreen with the bike shaking under you, eyes fixed on a road that never seems to expand. The front wheel lifts over bumps, the wind moves the bike, and you don't even get to hesitate. And that tiny pause? That's all it takes. And the craziest part is this: riders memorize all of it. Every corner, every bump, every blind spot burned into their heads. Because at the TT, it's not just about being fast. It's about staying calm, staying focused, and making it back in one piece after facing one of the hardest tests a rider can take. So what pulls them back every year? What makes someone look at roads like these and think, yeah, this is for me? Life between the races. When the racing stops and the crowds leave, the Isle of Man TT goes quiet again. And so do the riders. That's when they go back to real life. So who are these riders when the helmets come off? And what kind of life brings them back here, year after year? Most TT riders aren't rich or famous. They don't even live like stars. A lot of them are mechanics, engineers, or regular people with normal jobs. The kind of people you'd never guess do this. And they work all year just to afford one more chance to ride the mountain course. You'll find them late at night in small garages, fixing bikes with used parts and borrowed tools. Some even tune engines behind their houses. Others rebuild machines piece by piece, taking their time and saving where they can, making it work somehow. And when TT season finally comes, it feels like coming home. They camp near the track, cook simple food, sit around talking, and laugh with friends they only see once a year. The conversations always come back to the same things: corners, bumps, and the weather. Because for them, the TT isn't just a race week, it's a place they belong to. And the thing is, no one gets here alone. There's always people in the background making it happen. The people behind. When you see a bike flying down those roads, it's easy to think it's just one rider out there, but it never is. There's always a group behind them. People who've put in the time, the stress, the late nights, all of it. So who are the people standing behind the rider? And what does it really take to even make it to the start line here? Behind every bike at the TT is a team that's put everything into it, and not in a neat professional way either. Some teams are backed by big names like Honda, Yamaha, or BMW. They've got data, testing, trucks full of parts, everything planned and measured. And then there are the others. The small teams, privateers, working out of tiny garages, long nights, and greasy hands. The mechanics, the engineers, the mates who load the van or hold the bike steady, they're all part of it. Every moment where they thought, yeah, this might not work. So, when the bikes finally line up at the start, it's not just the rider's moment, it belongs to everyone standing behind them. All those sleepless nights come down to a few minutes on the road. And no matter where they finish, first or last, everyone in that paddock knows the truth. They earn the right to be there. Most riders come and go, but some become a part of this place. The riders who became part of the TT, the Isle of Man. TT doesn't just make winners, it creates legends. Real people, flesh and blood. Riders who didn't just ride fast, but stayed long enough for the roads to remember their names. So how does a race turn normal riders into legends? And why do their names still matter? The TT has produced names that never really leave this place. Joey Dunlop, John McGuinness, Peter Hickman, Michael Dunlop. These aren't just racers chasing trophies. These are people who've been hurt, scared, broken, and still came back anyway. Every one of them carries a story tied to these roads, with big crashes, close calls, and comebacks that didn't seem possible. Moments where everything went wrong and somehow didn't. You don't just race the TT for years without it taking something from you. Take Joey Dunlop, for example. He didn't just win 26 TT races. He became something bigger than that. Not because he chased fame or attention. Honestly, he didn't seem to care about any of that. He worked on his own bikes and also raced in awful weather when others backed off. And no matter how busy or tired he was, he always stopped to talk, to smile, and even shake hands. People didn't just cheer for him, they trusted him and felt like he was one of them. And that's the thing about the TT, these legends don't feel distant, they feel close, like people you might have seen in the paddock or passed on the road. So when riders roll up to the start line today, they know exactly what's at stake. They're not just racing for themselves, they're carrying something forward, a promise to the riders who came before them. That's why the TT still matters. Not because of speed, but because of the people who made it eternal. And every legend here carries the same truth, that this place gives nothing without taking something back. The risk and the respect. The truth is, the Isle of Man. TT is dangerous. Since the first race in 1907, more than 250 riders have lost their lives here. Everyone knows that number, and one pretends it doesn't exist. So if the risk is this clear and this real, why do riders still choose to line up? What makes the TT different is how riders treat that risk. They don't joke about it and don't ignore it. They slow down for yellow flags. They back off when something feels wrong. They respect the road and they respect each other. At the TT, riding smart is part of riding fast. Knowing when not to push matters just as much as knowing when to go flat out. That balance is everything here. This isn't wild. It's a shared understanding that everyone out there wants to come back. And that respect for the road, for the danger, for the people riding beside you is what keeps the TT alive, even when the risk never goes away. The Isle of Man. TT isn't here to be comfortable or easy to understand. This race stays honest, even when that honesty is hard to watch. If this video helped you see the TT differently, let us know. Drop a comment and share what stayed with you. And if you want to go one step deeper, there's another video you should watch next. It breaks down what really happens inside a rider's head at extreme speed and why fear works differently out there. That video is on your screen now. Don't forget to like and subscribe.